All right, everybody, welcome to your Freedom Fast Track Google Hangout. I'm Dino Watt, and my lighting is terrible today. I don't know what the deal is, but today is Friday, I think it's the 18th. Anyways, I've had a crazy last couple of weeks. We skipped last week because we wanted to make sure my mic is on. Yes, okay. We had to skip last week because of some family stuff, so I appreciate that. And over the last 2 days, I have sent 3 of my family members off to other countries and totally different continents. So I'm looking a little scruffy. I understand, but I literally just got back from the airport, and I didn't have a lot of time to shave and get things ready. But it's about the content, right? It's about the information that I want to give you. My hair's kind of looking a little weird with my microphone on, too. Anyways, I'm excited for you to be here because this is my favorite part of the core. You know, when you signed up for this program with Garrett and Freedom Fast Track, and you bought into the idea of having these 4 Google Hangouts with me, whether you're watching them live right now with me or whether you're going to watch the replays, what I hope the reason why you wanted to sign up was because of the relationship part of things. You wanted to know how you could grow your business without sacrificing your marriage. And on the other side of that, you wanted to learn how to grow how to have better relationships inside your business, the marriage of your business, right? The family that's there. I've been in the midst of continuing to write my book. I just got back the first kind of edit back from my editor, and now I'm going to go through it. There's a few more stories I want to add in and a few things I want to switch around and change. I'm really excited about getting that out to all of you in the next couple of months. And so I've been working hard on that. And it's hard for me to write this part of the book without it being a book by itself, which obviously there is a business and marriage book that is on the horizon. The first book I ever wrote, How to Recession-Proof Your Marriage, was out years ago. It's a good starter book. I'll even admit it's not my best book. It's not the best stuff out there, but I wanted to make sure people were able to get this information out there. So it's still available on Amazon if you wanted to find it there. You can order it individually, but this is this part of the book is really powerful because when we talk about the core, remember the very first training, the very first Google Hangout, we talked about the culture that you're creating inside your home and then inside your business and how important that is. And I can't stress enough the desire I want you to have for creating a culture. Not for my purposes, but for yours. Because when you create a true culture in your business, when you are very aware of what's going on in your business culturally, things shift. And we talked about in that first call the importance of understanding when it comes to culture, the vision, the expectation, and the support. And then on the second call, we talked about the operation or organization of that, and understanding how to work from your why and how to put certain systems in place and what responsibilities you should undertake versus the responsibilities that you should pass on to somebody else. That's powerful and that's needed. So this week is the R in core. And let me back up, that also deals with your home, right? Know what the why is from why you're married and what the powerful, what's behind that. If you're looking at the videos that you got from this enchilada program, there's a video in there that talks about the 3 rules and the why, because you need to know what your why is behind getting married. Then this week, we're going to talk about relationships. Now, obviously, in your marriage, there's the relationship between your wife and your kids. I personally believe that in every marriage, there's 3 personages in a marriage. There's you, yourself, your wife, or your husband, and God. And I believe whatever your religion is, whatever your belief system is, whether you have religion or not, spiritual, whatever, I believe that that is a very essential part of the success of any marriage, is having a God-centered marriage or a spiritual-centered marriage if you're not into any particular type of religion. I think it's crucial, it's vital. It allows you to actually think of the other person, or actually demands, if you're truly living those principles, demands you thinking of the other person, and that it's not just about the 2 of you, and it's not even about your kids and all that. It's about you being able to have that center anchor as your the center, the anchor of your relationship. Sorry, I couldn't speak there. So today we're going to talk about relationships and the 3 parts of the relationship that I think are most important. And they're a little different when it comes to your marriage versus your business. In your business, I believe that the first relationship you need to have straight and on track is you. Because you can't give from an empty cup. If you're trying to be a giver and a supporter, and you're not playing at your best, then something's going to give. And the challenge with that is that most of you on this call are givers. You're people who are very good at, you want to give, you're healers, a lot of you. You want to give. But when it comes to receiving, you have a challenge with that. And when it comes to the relationship with yourself, we're taught, oh, don't be selfish. We're taught, oh, think of the other person first. We're taught all these things that drain us, whether that be good or bad, that's not what I'm talking about, but it drains you because you're giving. And we forget, oh, you know what, I also need to receive sometimes. I need to receive love, I need to receive attention, I need to receive focus. And so when you can do that, you actually get the opportunity to give more. But you can't, once your cup runs empty, you can't give so much. There's an old visual that I was at an event years ago where they took a cup. This is not same size of cup, it was a smaller cup, but it had a saucer under the cup, and they took the cup and they filled up the entire cup until it was overflowing. And what happened was, because the saucer was so big, a lot of people think this is them, and in truth, they're the saucer here. And if they fill themselves up, if they build themselves the right way and they have that saucer underneath them, in truth, that gets to overflow and catch into the saucer so they can give more, right? You have to be big enough to give that. So the first relationship in your business is yourself. The second one is actually typically misunderstood. A lot of people will say, oh, the second relationship that is most important is a relationship of my clients or my patients or the people I serve. And I believe that's incorrect. The second most important relationship you have to have in your business is with your team members. Because if you have strong, powerful team members who feel like you have a great relationship between the two of you, based upon, going all the way back to call 1, the culture you've created, then they'll do a lot of the marketing and advertising for you. They'll do a lot of the patient education for you. They'll do a lot of the sales for you because they're feeling like they're taken care of. Let me give you a really good example of that. Some of you at the Freedom Fast Track event, you met Jason West, who has the West Clinic in Pocatello, Idaho. Now, Pocatello, Idaho is not a thriving metropolis, but it's one of the most successful chiropractic businesses, single practitioner, single office practitioners in the country. Why? It's a destination practice. Why? Yes, it's 4th generation, but you know what? One of the hardest things, I think, is to have to live up to what his dad and his grandfather and his great-grandfather did. And I think that's with any business. But why this business is so successful is because Jason realized that his most important client is every person on his team. So because of that, for example, they don't have sick days. In their office, there are no such things as sick days. He has said, look, if you're sick, if your kid is sick, if your husband is sick, don't call in off. Bring them in. I will move patients that are on the schedule for you. And I seem to be getting more and more red for whatever reason. I don't know why. Let me go see. Let me go turn on my another light real fast, if that helps. Sorry about that. Oh, much better. I'm not as red. Okay. So for the one of you that's watching right now, I hope that's better for you. So when he tells them that they cannot take a day off because they're sick, he wants them to bring them in. He will take care of them. His whole business is based around helping people feel better and get better. So if one of his team members is off, then because they're sick, then it's really not kind of being good marketing, right? So he has them come in. Because of that, and because every single one of his team members is actually a patient of his, when a new client comes in, he doesn't have to spend his time educating them on what this means and what that means. He doesn't have to answer all the phone calls of the concerned patient who doesn't understand why the supplement that they're taking is affecting them a certain way. The people on the other end of the phone, any one of his team members can answer most of those questions for them because they've been through it themselves. I think when people put their team members above their clients, it actually serves the clients more. And a lot of people will think that's a little different. Another thing on team members, if you hear my language, I always call the people who work for you your team. I am not a fan of the word staff. I learned this from Gary Cady, but I'm going to take this to another level. Gary Cady, talks about the importance of language. I have read many a book about the importance of language. For example, one of the things that we teach in our marriage course is you don't have problems in your marriage, you have challenges. Because a problem means it's just a dead end, you can't do anything about it. A challenge is something like a game. You can overcome a challenge, you can accept a challenge. Well, here's the deal. Some of you, the reason why he doesn't like the word staff is because he says, staff is an infection that nobody wants, right? So if you call your team a staff, that's how it's going to end up feeling. Some of you have staffs right now. I'm not saying some of you call them staffs, I know you do, but some of you have staffs. You have people who are poisons in your office. You have people who are not serving at their best capacity, and they're not adding a ton of value to you and your patients. As a matter of fact, they're gossipy, they're backbiting, they complain, they take sudden days off work, they leave early, they come in late. There's a whole bunch of reasons why they're a staff. What you want to do is you want to create, through the culture, a team. So that's number 2. Then, of course, the third relationship that you're going to have within your business is with your clients. How is it that you're best serving them? What are some of the best practices? Are you continually educating yourself so that you can serve them in the highest and best use of their time and your capacity? That's in your business. Well, let's go to your relationship. In your personal relationship, in your marriage, there is also 3 very important people. The first one is yourself. And I'm going to expand on yourself, like with the cup idea, a little bit more. What are you doing to continually grow yourself? What are you doing outside of your business and outside of your marriage that feeds you? Are you a huge basketball fan? You love to go play basketball or watch basketball. Are you undertaking a hobby that helps you really express yourself? I'm really big into this right now because I'm 40, almost 2 years old, and I've always, my whole life, regretted not playing the piano. When I was a little kid, my mom had me in piano lessons, and I hated them, couldn't stand them. I'm sure some of you can relate. And when they got divorced, my parents got divorced, my mom couldn't afford it anymore, so I jubilantly decided, yay, I can't go, or it was exclaimed, I can't do piano lessons anymore because my mom couldn't afford it. It wasn't a sad thing to me, it was a joyous day. Cut to, for at least the last 20 years, it's been my biggest regret in my life. Because I think there's nothing cooler than being able to go and see a piano and go and sit down and be able to play it. So therefore, to feed myself at this stage in my life, I'm taking piano lessons. I have a little tiny piano in our home, and I'm taking piano lessons. Nobody in my family plays piano. We have a piano, nobody plays it. I'm taking piano lessons because I want to feed that to myself. Because I know that the more creative I am in my life, the more creative I get to be here in my business with people like yourself. So first person I need to feed is me through hobbies, friendships. One of the questions I ask when we do our discovery session sometimes is, how are you with friends? Like, what's your friendship level like? And I get people all the time, oh, we don't have any friends. We haven't gone out with friends in I don't know how long. What do you do for fun? No, I don't really have a lot of fun. You have to have that part of your life. Just because you got married, just because you have a business, doesn't mean those things need to stop. Matter of fact, you should really ramp those up. Some of my best ideas in business have come because of friends. Some of my best friends have come from business. So you can mix the two together and obviously be very careful with what you're doing and in what ways, but you need to have that outlet there. I think it's important if couples feel like having different hobbies. That's okay. I know there are some people like, oh, I think couples having different hobbies can be dangerous. No, I think it can be good. As long as you're supportive of one another in that hobby, as long as you're very open about what that is. Look, your wife might not really like to fly model airplanes. She can still be supportive of that. She doesn't need to get out there and get up early in the morning and go find a big field so you can fly your plane. That's not necessary. But she can support that by saying she's supporting it, one just in her words. But I mean, if she wanted to get up early with you and go make you breakfast on your way out the door, stuff like that, this way you can support, and vice versa with your spouse. The second relationship that you have to obviously focus on in your business, in your marriage, is with your spouse, obviously. That means that you have to be able to focus and continually strive to increase your relationship status on I'll say weekly, I would dare to say daily, but weekly basis when I talk to people. It ends up being that, oh, we're just roommates. Oh, we're just good friends. It's not that we are expanding our relationship. We are growing. We're like a balloon. What's interesting, I'm going to go to some physicality. Some of you already know this, obviously, because most of you are doctors and stuff. But, the bladder is an interesting thing, right? You feel like you have to go to the bathroom really bad. And if you hold on to it for a little bit, the bladder actually expands kind of like a balloon will. As long as you give it a little bit of time, it'll expand a little bit more. So all of a sudden you don't have to go as bad. Now there's the time where it finally gets to the place where you have to go and there's other bladder issues, but let's go with the normal bladder. On that normal bladder, it's going to expand. This is where your relationship needs to go. You think that you're full. You got married, you had the kids, you had the good job, you had the good income, maybe you even traveled a little bit, but you've got to the place where you're full. No, you're not. You're not done. You need to be able to stretch that and expand that. And I promise you, the more you expand that, the more you work on that, just like a muscle, the bigger it'll get and the stronger it'll get. And too many people just live this life of, hey, we got here and that's pretty good. Instead of saying, no, I'm taking this next. There's always a next level in your relationship. There's always a next level. And that's where we go back to the first thing I talked about, not culture, and the relationship with you. That goes with you and your wife. You should be supporting your wife I'm going to talk wife because I have a wife, obviously, with your spouse, that they have the ability to work on their own hobbies or their own likes and desires. I do a podcast every week. It'll be released next week, I believe it is. And in that podcast, I ask a series of questions. And the podcast is called The Business of Marriage, and it's marriage advice for entrepreneurs. I get on successful entrepreneurs from all walks of life. I have an actor coming on who's, you notice, if you know who he is if he came on. I have a director coming on. I have people who have multi-million-dollar businesses. Garrett and Carrie were one of the guests. And in that podcast, I ask a specific amount of specific questions throughout every podcast, the same questions. Well, one of the questions I ask, because I think it's important for entrepreneurs to understand this, is independent of your spouse, what is your must-have treat for yourself? What is your must-have indulgence that you give to yourself? Why do I ask that question? Because I want them to have to sit and think, and some people have to think for a little bit longer. I have to do some editing for the pause. Some people got it right away. Oh, I go get a massage, you get a facial, whatever. But the idea is that I want people to understand, I want you to understand that just because you're married doesn't mean you're not still an individual being and have certain individual needs. And for you as a spouse to support your husband or wife in doing those things, that's powerful. But when you can support your wife in doing the things on her own, whether it be hobbies or ways that they feed themselves, then your marriage actually can grow even more because you're both stronger. You're both being filled and fulfilled. And you get to actually share that with one another, and this marriage expands. So that relationship between the two of you is key. Obviously, a lot of people will say, well, of course, you should work on your relationship and your marriage and all that. No. I mean, you're working on it. You're having fun with one another. You're doing what it takes to take your marriage to the next level. You're learning the systems. Some of you that have enrolled into my course understand that there's actual physical things that we do, actual systems that we give you in order to get you a better result. Garrett talks often about the marriage mastermind and how it's been now 4 years. And he and Carrie implemented that when I first taught it. And they got better at it over time, and now they're amazing at it. They're probably, in all honesty, better than I am at it. In the sense of theirs is every week, every Monday. Trust me, if you've tried to get a hold of Garrett, Monday between roughly 4 and 8 p.m., you're not going to get a hold of him. Because he and Carrie are holding their marriage mastermind, and they're going on a date. Every Monday. Because he has seen in that one tool alone how much it's expanded their relationship from where it was. Their relationship was doing good when they first came to me. They just need to take it to the next level. And the third relationship that you need to have when it comes to your marriage, I believe, is crucial. Now, if you have younger children that are still living at home, then, of course, there's the relationship with them. That would kind of be like a 2.1, I guess. You have yourself, your spouse, and then 2.1 is kids. I think that is a very vital relationship. Do things that help expand that relationship too. If you have young daughters, if you're a dad, take your daughters on dates. If you have young men, show them how to go on dates. I mean, there's a ton of stuff involved in that. But I'm not the parenting guru. By any means. I have 3 teenagers, and I should be able to write a book in about 2 years about how I actually got through that, right? Especially 2 teenage girls. But that needs to be a focus. So the third one that I want to focus on is the relationship that you have with the outside world, meaning your friends and your family members, the people you come across. How are you as a person? What do you do to contribute to society? What are your desires about making sure that the world knows that you exist, that you're here, and that you're contributing to something in either a small way or a big way? Obviously, with what I do, my goal is to reverse the direction of divorce in the country than the world. So I have a big goal, very big. But that's not everybody's goal. And one of the things that we know, I'm going to scroll down on my thing here, I want to make sure I have it here, yes, is that there are 3 human motivators in life. And the 3 human motivators are, 1, expansion, meaning how do I personally go about my day and how do I grow myself as a human being? Number 2 is connection. The connections I have with the relationships around me, whether that be relationship with my wife, relationship with my coworkers, or relationship as a professional, okay? And then relationships around me. And then the third one is contribution. How am I giving back? What service am I giving? There's a story, and I'll put this as a disclaimer. This is a story I heard from someone else about a mutual person that we all knew. Knew. You might not know that. And they had gotten very successful in their business. They got to a place to where they were able to take it to the next level. They'd become, $1 million, $2 million business, done very well. And this gentleman came along to the owner of this, and he said, hey, you have been blessed with you've worked hard, obviously, you've been blessed with some really amazing success. So what are you doing to give back? What charitable organizations are you deciding you want to support and help out? Because I think that there is some sort of entrepreneurial responsibility when you get to a certain status. Like, what is that? What are you going to do? And the person's unfortunate response was, I don't have time for that. And the person who asked the question was a multi-millionaire who was actually thinking about investing in this person's courses and classes and trainings. And he said, okay, got it, and turned around and walked away, never to come back. And the person who told me the story was that person's daughter. And she said that he would never be involved with any company, any person who doesn't see the desire to give back, to contribute. So the third relationship is your relationship with the world, with the people around you, with everything from your friends to your coworkers to the people you meet on the street. How are you as a person? Are you a jerk? Are you someone who is smiling more often than you're frowning? Are you someone who, if you were to meet a random stranger, they'd want to become fast friends with you? You have to decide that. When it comes to creating the core, the relationship part was really kind of easy for me. It was also important, and it's also one of the most challenging because I find that sometimes, myself included in this, we become so focused on the growth of our business, what we're trying to get done, even our message, if it's a great message. I believe my message is an amazing message. I want to get that out there. Sometimes I forget about the relationship side of what I do. Oddly enough, all I do is relationships, and sometimes I forget about that. How am I expanding my relationship with myself, with my spouse, and then with the world? As I mentioned, today I took Shannon and our middle daughter Avery to the airport. They're off to Guatemala to be able to be there for 2 weeks to help out at this at charity, basically, do some charity work. My other daughter, Hannah, left yesterday to go to Italy for 4 weeks. Now, I'm not able to go just because of work schedule and things that I'm doing, and that's fine because I'm contributing in that sense to giving them the opportunity, I should say, to go and do this amazing work and see the world, expand their horizons, expand their mind. That's part of the contribution I'm giving now. When we did our trip across the country for an entire year, part of that trip wasn't just to see the country, which was a great part of it, but it was to go and help out in places, to let our kids see the world outside of our own. So we contributed by helping finish a house down in where it was struck in Katrina. Still, all these years later, there are houses being built in the Katrina area for a not a Habitat for Humanity, but a Habitat for Humanity type company called Homecoming. And this week on my newsletter, if you got that, you heard about Dennis's story and his daughter who is dealing with a brain tumor. And so let's contribute a little bit to the Make-A-Wish Foundation to help other kids fulfill those wishes, terminal kids to help fulfill those wishes. Also a part of that, and the reason why I bring this up, is because in that newsletter I also talked about some of the deaths that I had seen. What I didn't really talk about too much in the newsletter, which I'll explain here, is that through Facebook and social media and stuff, we're able to watch people die. We're able to see them become sick, go through a process, and hopefully get better, but sometimes not. And for me personally, it made me think of the impact that I'm making on this life. That if, heaven forbid, something were to happen to me in the next day or two, or even year or 3, or whenever my time comes, is it just going to amount to a Facebook post of, was here, now he's not? Or am I going to have something that lives on beyond me? When Stephen Covey passed away last year, he's gone physically, but his thoughts, his belief systems, his principles have lived on and will live on forever in what he wanted to share with the world. So my challenge to you is this. As we close, I want to just put this challenge out there to you. What is it that you're doing to increase all 3 of those relationships in your life? What are you doing to increase? Take it to the next level. Wherever you are now, if you're in a place of frustration, maybe depression, sadness, not really getting what you want, that's okay. There's a next level. If you're in a place that's great and you think things are going awesome, guess what? There's still a next level. There always is a next level. in the book that I'm writing, I'm talking a lot about the Kaizen. And the Japanese, how they continually want to improve. Toyota is a great example of that, Toyota Corporation. How they have, I think it's 7 levels, maybe 6 levels of why. All right, we're doing this, why? Well, because of this. Well, why is that? Well, because of this, why? And the more you ask yourself the deeper questions, 6 levels, 7 levels in, the more you'll really get to what you want and what moves the needle forward. How are you expanding yourself? How are you taking it to the next level? And then when it comes to your contribution and your connection and your relationships to the outside world, to your friends, your family members, do you have that relationship that just hasn't been resolved? It's ended kind of badly, not kind of the way you want it to. It's been bad. Now, if the other person isn't willing or ready or here, able on this planet to have that conversation of letting go, then I would encourage you to have that conversation anyway. Find a quiet place where you can have that conversation literally out loud with that person so you can get it out of you. Those thoughts, those words, they're weighted into you. So I would encourage you to do so. But as we conclude, I just want you to really look into your relationships that you have and the importance that they are to you and how you can make them more powerful and how they can move the needle. Because when creating the core, when working on the core of yourself, it first starts with the culture, then the organization, and the relationships. And next week, we're going to talk, actually, it's not going to be next week, it's going to be the following, because I'm going to be at an event, just so you know if you're listening to this. So the week after next, when we talk about the E there, it's going to put it all together and bring it all together and help you understand why working on your core is so important. So I appreciate that you guys are here. I do see there's a few people online. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Let's go over here and see if we got Q&A going on. Let me open up that app. There, let's enable it. I don't know why it's, you can only turn this feature on and off on Google Plus event page for this Hangout. Oh, I had to do it before. I apologize. I did not turn it on before here. So if you have questions, please just send them in to me, and we will have that conversation. I'm happy to do so, and see if there's anything I can do for you. So many people have signed up for the discovery sessions. We've had some great times. We've had some people who wanted to move forward with what I do with the business of marriage or with the core in your offices. I have some great trainings coming up and really appreciate that. Having a lot of fun, seeing a lot of great results. So if you haven't done that yet, please make sure you do. Thank you for being on these Google Hangouts. I appreciate it. It wasn't 4 in a row, unfortunately, with the way my schedule is. Even when I tried to do it, even when I was at the pool on the first one, right? And even when I'm not shaven and not looking kind of scrubby, I just want you to know that I appreciate you and I honor what you do every day. And I think that your work that you do in the healthcare professional world, if you're one of those, or if you're just in the world of Freedom Fast Track, trying just to make things a little bit better, it's awesome, and I appreciate it. So thank you very much. Hope you have a great day. Once again, please email me. My email is dinowatt@gmail.com or dino@thebizofmarriage.com, and I'll see you on the next Hangout. Bye-bye, everybody.